Well, I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see.
It looks something like this.
Are you ready for takeoff? To help you out, we put together some simple steps to follow before you get your drone in the air. The first one is location. Have a look around where you are. Are you a safe distance from everything you need to be? If it's congested area, you need to be 150 meters away. If it's not, 50 meters away. Have a look around, make sure you're in a safe place to fly. Also make sure that you're not in a controlled airspace. If we're in controlled airspace, then we can't fly without permission. The next step is transporting your drone. Make sure you're thinking about keeping it protected whilst you're transporting it in the car. Then when you're carrying it to wherever you're going to be flying, make sure it's contained, you've got your spares with you, everything's nicely packed together and it's all protected. The next step is permission to fly. So we've already checked the airspace, and if it's clear or we have permission from air traffic control, then we know we're good to fly. But if we're on private property, do we have permission from the landowner? If so, yep, we're good to go. If not, we may need to seek it. To do this, you just need to contact the landowner and ask for their permission. If you're on public property, just check for any bylaws that might be restricting drones being used in that area. If you're already on location, then you probably will have done your research to make sure you have permission to access the area you want to be in. So moving on to our next step, and that's finding suitable level ground. Now when setting up, we want our drone to be on level ground. We want to power it up, it's going to do its auto calibration, so we want that to be nice level ground. Equally, have a look around the area. When you spin your props up, are you going to fill the air with dust and cover your lens in dirt? If you are, then think about using a takeoff and landing mat. When you spin your props up, you're going to be able to get up in the air and it shouldn't blow too much dust around. Equally, if you're flying in a grassy area, flatten the grass down. When you spin your props up, if they're cutting through blades of grass, that could splatter all over your lens and you don't want to be cleaning that off. Ideally, you're just looking for a level, clean, dust and dirt-free area. The next step is to check for any radio interference in your area before you take off. Now, if you're using a DJI drone, in the app you can check for any interference in the transmission signal. If it's strong, heavy interference, it will alert you to that, and it may mean you have to move to a different location. You can also use a device called an RF Explorer. That's just going to analyze any frequencies in the area. Moving on to the next step is battery limits. We want to make sure that we've checked and set our battery limits before we take off. Don't just assume that they're set to the correct setting. Ideally, if you've got a low battery warning, set it to around 30%. We always err on the side of caution with our battery limit setting, and we never actually fly down to when the battery warning kicks in. I always bring it home, land before that even happens. This just means that we can get our drone home safely, swap out the battery and get back in the air. On to the next step. Have a final check of the wind speed before you take off. Using apps like UAV Forecast is going to display the different wind speeds at different altitudes. It's a really good tool and it's a good final check before you get in the air. Often the wind speed might have changed from when you first checked your forecast. Doing a final check just means that you're aware of any changes and that you're flying in suitable conditions for your system. Next step is to inspect your kit. We've been through this in detail in another video, but generally all we're doing is just checking the condition of our drone, of our batteries, of our controller, making sure everything is fit for flying and it's in good working condition. After we've inspected our kit, the next step is to perform any calibration that may be required. If when we power up we have any error messages on calibration side, then carry out any calibration that may be required. So we're almost ready to get into the air, but before we do, we want to just make sure that we have a good GPS lock with enough satellites to hold our position in the air, and this will also set our return to home point. And now our final tip, before you take off, just have a chat with your spotter, tell them how they might be able to assist you. They don't need to be a dedicated spotter, it could be a friend who's just watching you fly. They can alert you to anything that you might need to be aware of so you can then take action. Having an extra pair of eyes and ears on the ground can make a huge difference and we really recommend it.